Hi, ladies. How are you this morning?
I am awesome.
Fabulous.
Good.
Doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Hanging on to, trying to remain as gentle as possible during these holiday times, which can be stressful, and if nothing else, usually very fast-paced for people, which is counterintuitive because this time of year, we're supposed to be slowing down, going within, retreating, hibernating would be what we're supposed to be doing, and the go can get disruptive. But it's all good though. It's all good. We just bring ourselves back to balance, and that is part of why we are here today, to help people get some tips and ideas on how to do that and what's going to be coming up over the next 3 months. And for those people there who don't know, I am Amber Highland. I'm the owner of the Cartomancer magazine. And joining me today is astrologer Nicole Garceau. Check out her amazing offerings at codecreatingtoday.com. And the always bubbly and super happy and full of love, Pamela Bell, from Pamela's Intuitive Heart. Go get a reading from her, folks. You won't be sorry. And definitely check out her YouTube and TikToks. Her little micro readings are fabulous and super helpful.
And on point.
They are on point.
They are.
Sometimes a little too on point, and I just kind of shut the computer down. Like, no.
It's like, get out of my head, please.
Stalker. It's tarot. Tarot sees all.
Yes.
Doesn't always tell us all, but it sees all.
No, it sees all. Doesn't necessarily always tell us all, and I think that's a good thing.
I do too.
Yeah.
Gotta have
it allows us to be empowered and to make up our own minds. Same thing with astrology. We might know this is going on, yet we can choose how to respond to it. We can choose to prepare for a situation, or we could choose to bury our heads in the sand and then deal with the aftermath. Either way, all the tools we have are important, and it does help people learn how to take individual steps and move forward. And I don't know if either of you can see the chat, but for some reason I cannot see the chat. So if you can and respond, I think Jamie's out there somewhere, but I can't see it. So if you can, let me know.
I see it. I see Saphira and Jamie.
Cool. So you're the official shout out woman. And
I don't know how to respond to them, but I see them.
That's okay.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, you can respond vocally if you need to, and I will designate Jamie to be like slinging links if we need a link slinger. So
perfect.
So there, Jamie. You have to work. Our amazing associate editor. I couldn't do what I do without her support, and the same thing goes for Saphira Stone, our designer, and. Check out all their work, people. They are amazing women. I'm proud to have them part of my team and as friends. And
not only that, just a little shout out to Saphira is that my very first publication won second place at the COVR Awards. And for her, it was her first shot at designing a deck as well. So she did really well in her first attempt on manifesting that and making my dreams become a reality.
Beautiful.
Great creation. Fabulous duo.
All right, let's dive into this, folks. So we had the solstice.
Yuletide blessings to everybody.
Happy to be having that happen. Either way, right, for either hemisphere. It's a dynamic time of energies, and to be able to utilize them is huge. So for us, in our hemisphere, of course, it was the winter solstice.
Yes.
And it puts us into Capricorn time as of yesterday. And is it today that Venus goes into Capricorn?
Venus has already been in Capricorn.
With Capricorn, okay.
Yeah.
This is why I have other people, because this Cosmathables. Yeah. We'll regurgitate. I'll let them think it. I'll just regurgitate it.
Venus in Capricorn is like the Iron Lady.
Yeah. I'd like that analogy. How would you explain that for people?
2 words: Margaret Thatcher.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very, status oriented. She's, she's very disciplined. She's very goal oriented. She's the manifester.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's that maintaining those relationships, um, and moving forward with what we have to do, right, to
Yeah.
manifest what we need to for ourselves. So I love that analogy. And then tomorrow is the new moon.
Yes. Actually, later on today.
Okay. See, math. So this is a great time to be expanding ourselves to a new level of being. And so whether that is professionally, personally, spiritually, this is a really positive time to move forward with that. So Pamela, what message would the cards have for us for taking this energy of the Iron Lady and the energies and the momentum of moving forward? What message do the cards have that can support us in that?
Four of Swords. That's a good one for this. Fours. As we know, fours can mean stability or stagnation. This feels like both. Like we're doing all the things right now, like hanging on to what is stable, things that are stagnant, change. And this also, my favorite part of this card, the Four of Swords, is respite. That's my favorite word for that card. Take a breather, take a break, rest, recuperate, because there's been a lot of heavy energies, a lot of fast moving heavy energies. So I love that the Four of Swords is there. So everybody needs to keep what's stable or stabilize, hold on to what's stable. Anything that's stagnant, time to move forward from that. It's time to push it if you have to, and recuperate, rest, heal that stagnant stuff, because sometimes we get stuck. The stagnant is the stuck in what Amber was mentioning before we started, stuck in that Three of Swords, which is the pain, your pain. So getting stuck in that pain, it's time to move forward out of that. And have a brand new Ace of Cups, brand new start from the heart, new beginning, fresh. So anything that's not working for you anymore, boot it. Margaret Thatcher, boot it.
Well, and I love the synchronicity because the Four of Swords does happen to be the cover image for the Winter Cartomancer. This is the Four of Swords from Jamie Elford's Triple Goddess Tarot. And so we have lots of great tips all through this whole issue about working with the Four of Swords energies. So thank you, Pam. And I love that it was followed up with the Ace of Cups.
Yes, because everything had a purpose. Everything had a reason. Your pain, I always tell people, all of your emotions are valid and they're all equal. It is, the bad, the good, and the ugly. They are beautiful messengers from your soul on where attention needs to go. So don't hide from them anymore. You can't. We're coming to a time where we can't hide from them anymore. It's in our face, is it not, Nicole? Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing you put those cards because they just fall so in line with the astrology. Because we can't forget last year at this time, Venus was retrograde in Capricorn. And she was in direct conversation in perfect alignment with Pluto. Now, Mercury is in Capricorn right now, and it's starting its retrograde season. So it officially goes retrograde on the 29th of January and just 3 degrees from Pluto. And that is equally important as a conjunction because as a planet stops in retrogrades, it's especially potent because it's closer to the Earth.
Yeah.
So it's about talking about those wounds, discussing those wounds. And the thing is, when planets, especially when they make those strong conversations and they fuse in energy with, those outer planets, those strong outer planets, it's like it makes grooves into the cosmos. And, it's that, you're driving along a street and you hit that speed bump. Well, here comes Mercury. It's, it's tapping into that speed bump. It's stopping right in front of there and taking a good look. Oh, I remember that pothole. It, it busted, it damaged that front tire there. But, and it's time to discuss them. And the thing is too, is that the degrees in which Mercury is going retrograde is very important. because Mars is also going retrograde at those exact same degrees, 8 degrees and 24 degrees. And since July, Jupiter went retrograde at 8 degrees. So 8 degrees is a hot spot for people in those charts. And I got Sun and Mercury at 8 degrees. So that at the other spectrum, they're both Mars goes direct. It went retrograde at 25 degrees. And Mercury will go retrograde at 24 degrees. So 24, 25 are hot spots. My T-square is at 24 degrees.
Wow.
So if you have those in your birth chart, it's especially more potent and personal to you. But collectively, like we really have to reevaluate those wounds. We really have to take a breather. And we can't forget, yes, Capricorn's the manifester, but it's also the winter season of hibernation. And it's very significant. It's the about taking time to reevaluate. And people don't realize, even though it's the most evolved of the earth signs as a manifester, it's one of the most spiritual signs too, because this is when we go inside, retreat, take everything in and really evaluate our whole past, everything that's come to be to where we are right now. So we can, and where are we going with all this? What legacy are we leaving behind? What purpose do we have in this world? All these things are up for discussion and for reevaluation under this energy.
Yes. And I think that, as Pam was saying, that Four of Swords plays into that. It's the time for us to remember, to pull in, to seek that quiet, right? A lot of us are scared of the quiet. There's a lot of people who are just afraid of silence, but try to embrace it, because by doing that, we can allow the answers and the ideas that we're seeking to float to the surface in a very natural and more gentle way that's easier for us to assimilate and process, rather than trying to search outside, right, outside realities and to the external world for our answers, because those are within us, and those are the true ones that will help us move forward the most. I can see the chat just popped up on me. Jamie says that she loves the silence which comes from winter snowstorms. Yes. Yeah, that's something that I love about snow. Everything becomes silent. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't realize sometimes how loud the world is until you get a snow and that ambient noise is dampened. You don't realize how, because we hear it all the time. We always have, there's a TV, there's a fan, there's the furnace, there's, traffic, there's, all this noise. So when it gets quiet, for me, I'm just like, oh, I didn't realize how noisy it was.
Yeah. And those winter snowstorms, like you say, they bring that stillness in the air, and the stillness itself can be loud.
Yeah, deafening.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that people will be in conflict with this energy, and goes back to what you're saying earlier, Amber, was that yes, we have a new moon coming up, but we have Mercury in the sign of Capricorn, where the new moon is at retrograde season. So there may be this drive to start something new, this desire and this motivation to start something new. But with that retrograde, and then Mars being in the sign of rulership of Mercury retrograde as well, the energy is like, hold on a second and really think this through.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that it's that time. I love the speed bump analogy too, because when you jump, you go, okay, what was I paying attention enough? Because if it's dark or something, you might be driving a little too fast. You might not see it, right? But so it jars you into thinking about maybe what just happened a second ago. Was I paying attention? So if I take that to another level and think about that time, it gives you that time to reflect on an older situation or a relationship that has caused us pain, or that has been very jarring to us. Not just pain, but something very jarring to us. It makes us step outside of ourselves, maybe in an uncomfortable way, or an unprotected, a scary way. And that can trigger old emotions. It can trigger the pain of old suffering. So if we take that time to try to release that suffering and those old heartaches that are holding us back from healthfully moving forward, that's going to be such a huge key to navigating this winter season coming up with all of the energies that are going to be at play. I think that we have to look at our energy, our attention, where our focus is going. And I think that we have to remember to be grounded. And being grounded doesn't mean that we're stagnant, right? That being grounded means that we're able to move through, but in a very mindful and present way.
Perfect way to put that. Mindful and present. Yes.
And you know what too is that, like, on a positive way, like, there's a lot of talk about wounds and all that kind of stuff, which is very much a reality. But it's also good for picking up old goals, reconnecting, with your parents, grandparents, former bosses and mentors, people from the past. And yes, like Capricorn, using the word old, Amber, is that's everything Capricorn, right? Things that stood the test of time. And just talking about old traditions. What do you value? Putting things in new perspectives moving forward.
Absolutely. So Pamela, what support can we get from the cards in our strive to keep moving forward and to remain in ourselves?
It is all about your connections, my loves, friends, family. Mm-hmm. This is connections. The Lover's card is all your connections. That is your connection with relationship with yourself, with your family, your peers. So a lot of this healing, because we pulled some cards before we started, a lot of this focus on healing in Capricorn is very earthly. It's right now. It's the physical world. And that is, healing all of those relationships. Because you can see that card. You can see how there's some stitches in that heart. There's some healing, but it's still open. And you're still, look at all those strands that are still connected. So what Spirit is saying through here is there's going to be a big focus on healing relationships, all of them. So I am excited for that because I'm all from the heart. So let's heal our relationships and communicate clearly here with the Queen of Swords, fairly as well. Fair communication, fair fights. If you're going to fight, you got to fight fair. Learning to fight fair, learning to be clear. And now the Queen of Swords, she's a clear communicator. She knows what she wants. She has a plan. She takes a plan. So this to me is really feeling like Spirit is saying you're going to have to take some action, even though it's not a night, it's action. You have to have a plan forward and put it to use. You got to use the swords is your intellect, your mind, your thoughts. Use your beautiful mind and thoughts, make a plan, and communicate, reach out. If others can't do it, some of us, and this is going to be hard for some of us because I'll talk about myself because I'm stubborn. Those of us that are aware of this are going to have to do the reaching out. If there's somebody who cannot go there, we are going to have to do the reaching out and, extend that olive branch or open a line of communication. So that is what I'm getting. And that's going to be all sorts of fun during Mercury retrograde, huh, Nicole?
Well, Capricorn's a very serious sign. It's a very focused sign. So, yes. And work has to be done. There's no question about it with Capricorn and Saturn, wherever it's at.
Now you say that later on, in a few months, I think, or maybe it's the end of January, with Mars going direct, is that going to help our ability to communicate and work on these relationships?
Yeah, because what happens is that when there's very few planets that go out of bounds, and what that means is that you got the equator, and then you got a band 23, a declination, what's called a declination, which is 23.5 degrees up and 23.5 degrees down. So during the retrograde side, so a planet, it looks like it's going retrograde in the skies, but it's always going forward. It just loops. And it goes like this. So as it starts this retrograde period, it's closest to Earth, and then it goes out of bounds. So when a planet is out of bounds, it's rogue. And it's rogue in the sign of Gemini. So you see a lot more arguing online, a lot more, war of words is a good sentence for Mars out of bound in Gemini. So what happens is that as it finishes its retrograde season, that'll taper down, and and we just got to be mindful. It's the think before you speak.
Yes.
It's very huge, because you'll regret those words later.
Yeah.
And you can't take back words, and words cast spells. That's why it's called spelling, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and so then as it goes direct, things, communication is going to be a lot more better, and everything ruled by Gemini will flow much easier as it goes through Gemini. And the thing is, and going back to that 8-degree point, as it goes direct, again, a Mars stations direct, a stations to go direct, and then moves forward. So that 8 degrees so important. It's going to spend like almost a month at 8 degrees.
Wow.
And Mars is a trigger. It's the timekeeper of the zodiac. So where Mars rules action. So wherever Mars is at, that's where the action's at in your chart. So so that 8-degree point is going to get a lot of focus, and at the same time, Mercury goes direct at that same degrees. So it's going to go zoom to laser focus on those 8 degrees.
That reminds me of when you were talking about the 8s earlier, the 8 degrees, I was thinking about all the 8s in tarot, and the 8s in tarot can either be fast moving or block and stuck. So it's like a lot of this push, pull. So depending on where it is in your chart, that is where people can go and look and see where that action or inaction is going to be at. Is that correct, Nicole?
Yep, absolutely. And the thing is too, is that going back to the wound thing, of course, we've got Pluto that signifies wounds, but also there's an aspect of conversation in astrology that's called a quincunx, and that's related to wounds and healing. So the relationship of Mercury in Capricorn and Mars in Gemini is going to have that conversation wherever that point is at. If you have 8 degrees at angles or planets in 8 degrees, give or take a couple degrees on that point, they're going to have that conversation that's asking for transformation, asking for change, asking for healing, all these things. And it's time to put pen to paper and make things happen.
So focuses on home, what we're doing with ourselves, and health, of course. And then what in your article, okay, folks, if you haven't, Nicole does this amazing cosmic ripples in each issue of our magazine. She goes into the energies and how they may be presenting themselves to us as a collective. So we're looking at the home, look at the health. So let's talk about what could be looking at as money matters coming over to our finances. What's going to be happening on that global scale, as well as how it might affect us individually.
Well, that is all about making sure your assets are safe. Amidst all these changing times, and it's because Gemini is a very mutable sign. So what that means is that mutable signs and seasons. We know it's still spring, but summer's coming. So there's that flexibility and adaptability that ends a season, but it's also in the process of welcoming a new. And Capricorn is a fixed sign. So I'm sorry, it's a cardinal sign. It starts a season, so it's very much about materializing something, and it's the most evolved of the earth signs. So when it comes to finances, that's very much about making sure everything is safe. Look at the facts. Make focused decisions, make factual decisions, let your experience guide you when it comes to, making those decisions, life. And on a more personal level, wherever that is in your chart, it's in that area of life. So, for example, for me, it's in my 5th house, Capricorn. So let my experience guide me in my decision-making when it comes to my kids, because it rules kids. Rules love as well, amongst other things.
Wow.
Pamela, it looks like the cards are talking to you there, Pamela. What do you got for us?
Well, this is strictly about the money situation we were just talking about. This is the King of Cups. So that is going to be get a hold of your emotions, check your emotions. Do not make emotional, stupid investments or spending.
Yep.
Keep it in balance and check, because the King of Cups is, that is, having wisdom and authority over and balance over your emotions, all of them. They're all valid, but keeping them in check, because, you can make stupid decisions under that, under this influence that will, you'll regret. So that, and Five of Wands. And it can cause conflict if you don't make intelligent decisions, or if you make an emotional decision with finances, especially. It is going to cause big upset with that Five of Wands. It's going to cause fighting. You'll fight with your significant others, or you'll fight with your investment broker. So definitely want to keep emotions in check. Two of Swords. So really think through decisions, because the Two of Swords is not being able to decide. It's like being stuck. So really think through decisions. That's Capricorn aspect of really being practical. Be practical and keep your emotions in check, so that you don't run into the flip side, which is the bad decisions and fighting over money.
Just to add to that, and there's it's so aligned with the astrology, because what we're not talking about is the eclipses that are happening in Taurus and Scorpio. Just because we've discussed this in the previous one, and we're going to be discussing it in the next one during the equinox, because that's when the next eclipses are going to be. The South Node is in Scorpio. Scorpio rules stock market. It rules your investments. It is weak. It purges things. So, and in the articles I've written for the magazine, and also with our previous discussions with Pam and yourself, Amber, is that we've talked about how the stock market is unstable, and it crashes and it gets these massive dips, and the big money, look at Facebook, it's laying off, and it's dropped in value. Like, all these things are going to happen. So that's why with this Mercury retrograde, make sure your investments are safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I want to look into a little bit, a little selfish, because I've got an Aquarius moon. So let's just talk about, it's going a little step further past January and into that. So what do you look at from going from our new moon in Capricorn into the full moon in Aquarius? How do you feel those energies will be affecting us and our ability to navigate in a balanced way what we're doing?
Well, there's going to be a lot more forward moving action, finally. And the reason being is because the Aquarius new moon, its ruler is Uranus, and Uranus goes direct January 22nd. And it's it's the last outer planet to go direct, but shortly after that, Mercury goes direct. And then all planets are forward moving, and it's time to move forward. But more importantly is that we've been dealing with a square between Saturn and Uranus for a year and a half now. And it made four conversations. This mirror image. It made four conversations. And so now it's separating, meaning they're leaving each other. So this is the old versus the new, tradition versus progress, progress forward, breaking away from tradition, thinking about the new, and creating new traditions, and something, it's Aquarius is very eccentric, and Capricorn is, the wise scenics, it likes that stability, whereas, they're at odds each other. Yeah, they're at odds with each other. So then, yes, you may have this, this need to go back to old things, go back to what you know, but life is pushing you in a new direction, and then you got this push pull. And I know I've personally experienced that tremendously. Where do I go from here in life? Do I give this one last shot? That's Saturn, right? Or do I get real about things and focus on the vision forward? Because Uranus is very visionary, and it's very about your hopes, wish, dreams in the future kind of thing. Very forward thinking. So do I stick to what I know, or do I move forward? Like that was very much at odds. So now this new moon coming up will actually help you to establish that movement forward and take it to the next level.
Yeah. Before we started, I talked with Pam a little bit about an idea I had in helping people move past those wounds or perceived wounds, and in a balanced way. What kind of meditation could we come up with? And so we were thinking about taking the Three of Swords, reversing it. Right, we're going to create a meditation. So reverse Three of Swords. So those pains, that anguish from the past, is now coming out. Right? They're falling out again. They're healing. Right, they're opening. They're going to drain out. They're going to heal. And then to be able to move from a place of chaos or pain to something new and calmer. So take that Six of Swords and bringing us forward. Right. And that's us taking the action. Because if we're not taking the action, that boat's just going to sit there. It's not going to.
We got to row the boat. We got to row the boat.
We got to row the boat. And in order to, and as we're coming to those new brighter horizons, then we need to remember that we have to stay balanced and move forward. And no better card for me than that momentum, balanced momentum, than the Chariot. Yeah. So if you take those cards and hold against those, or reflect to them those burdens, those pains, those things you feel have been holding you back, and just sit with those cards. Mm-hmm. And then I decided, because I am absolutely in love with Eileen Halverson's new book, folks, if you haven't gotten it, Tarot Apothecary, get it, you'll be happy. I was like, okay, so what other type of magical thing, something else, elemental, that can help move us forward? Yes. Well, in this book, Eileen talks about how the essential oil that is associated with the Chariot is lemon balm. So you can have that lemon balm candle, you can have a stick of incense, you can have that essential oil, you can have on your skin to smell it. But those energies and that essence of that oil is going to help support us emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically to keep moving forward into the positive progress that we're making.
For sure. Yeah, because that Chariot card, the Chariot card is all about balancing. You have the light creature, the light horse, and the dark horse. One is the noble steed, and the other one is the wild child. But the Chariot driver has no reins. There's no reins attached. They're just channeling and alchemizing those energies for forward movement. So I love the balance aspect of that, because it is literally the best card for balance in the entire tarot. And I got to plug her teas as well. I love her. I drink the Queen of Pentacles tea. I wish I had bought all of them when I saw her. But yeah, I would definitely plug the teas, because they have the energy of the tarot in the tea. And it just totally, because Queen of Pentacles is the one I grabbed, and it grounds me, which I need lots of because I'm a Pisces. So yeah, love that. So as far as moving forward, do we want to pull some cards on?
Absolutely.
Let's see. Practical ways to move forward. Oh my goodness. I love this card for this. This is the Empress, my loves. Now the Empress, one of my favorite cards. It is a Pisces card, by the way. It is all about nurturing and growing that which is precious to you, manifesting it. This, it's often depicted with a mother and a baby, or a pregnant mother, pregnant person. And so yeah, nurture your dreams, those practical things too. Like if you want to make changes in the practical, you got to nurture it, and you got to feed it. You got to feed the baby. You got to feed whether it's like for my YouTube channel, I actually, in my head, I'm like, oh, got to feed the baby. Got to put a video up. You got to feed the baby. It's not going to go. The Chariot does not drive itself. Chariot doesn't drive itself. You are the driver. So this is going to be a big heads up for everybody in the practical to whatever you want, whatever you're working on, you have to nurture and grow, whether it is a project, your finances, relationships, you have to actually put in the work. So I love that. And take a fresh perspective. This is Ace of Swords. Take a fresh perspective. This is also new truth. So be adaptable to a new truth. or new communication, think of things in a different way. And this is also for me, this feels very creative, like the doing things the way we've always done. You don't have to do things the way you've always done. You can change. That's what I love about Aquarius, is they're like the innovators. They really do what they want. We need them to really influence breaking traditions.
They're the movers and shakers.
Yeah, movers and shakers, and they don't apologize for it either. I have so yeah, just be open to it.
I just noticed we have Michelle Welch in the chat from Soultopia.
Oh, hey, Michelle.
And ironically, I'm wearing the Magician tarot from Soultopia.
Love it.
Yeah. Another thing about the Uranus aspect in astrology is that the eclipses are aligned with Uranus. So not only are they fateful, they're like very forward moving. They're like leap forward in where we're meant to go. And if let us not forget too is that when we're having that square, there's that that struggle. So then when Uranus went direct, we had the Freedom Convoy in Canada that went global. And so with that last square that happened in October, Saturn was stationed retrograde. So that energy was very potent, and it was just like less than, it wasn't exact, but it was within a degree orb. So when Uranus goes direct, we can expect a little bit more rebellion happening on the on a global stage. And I remember writing about that in the article for the Cartomancer magazine last year. And I was doubtful, I tell you, because I'm like, it's not in Canada's nature to rebel, and then I'm like, you know what? I just surrendered. And then I said, I'm just going to write what I see. And sure enough, mind you, I didn't mind the magnitude that was going to happen, but holy Dinah. Yeah. So you might see a little bit, well, actually I won't say might, you'll most likely see a little bit more of that as well. That need to break free from tradition, from government systems, because Capricorn is also government systems and all that kind of stuff too, top-down structures, and become more communal. And I think that's where the focus is going towards, where instead of top-down governments or top-down structures, everything's more horizontal. And we can't forget that Aquarius is also a very altruistic sign and a very humanitarian sign.
Yeah, we need to be lifting each other up.
Yep.
And supporting each other. Because by doing that, we're supporting ourselves. I think people, we need to remember to step outside of our individual thinking and that top-down behavior. Absolutely.
And let me tell you, Saturn's at the end degrees of Aquarius, and it's going to move into Pisces in March. That's a big shift.
It feels like a big shift.
Well, it's going to materialize our grief and empathy for one another, because Pisces is the most evolved sign of the zodiac. It's very transcendent. We are one. And with Saturn in there, it's going to really have us, acknowledge our empathy for one another. It's going to get us serious about meditation, about becoming spiritually evolved, becoming, psychic development, to work on that. Saturn, wherever Saturn's at in the zodiac, it asks us to do the work.
Yeah, and again, that's what we're talking about. This is the time, and I feel that 2023, it's that time when we have to take that action. We can't just sit back. Yes, remain flexible, but it's not just this free for all of just sitting back and riding the wave. We need to be navigating that, right? So it's almost like riding the rapids. So you don't want to fall out of the boat, but you're still in charge, and you're still moving forward, taking that action. Absolutely. So taking action is going to be hugely important, as well as remaining grounded while we do it.
And you know what? Saturn is a very karmic planet too. And, a lot of sayings that you hear going around, a lot of them are rooted in astrology. For example, you reap what you sow. Mm-hmm. And that's Saturn. You get what you put into it. And when it comes to, with Saturn and Pisces, it's kind of like, for those of you that are Seinfeld fans, it's like Bizarre World. It's like, the topsy-turvy. Well, Saturnalia. Is a perfect example of that, where there's a switch of the slaves and the masters. that's kind of like, and that's where that empathy comes in. To acknowledge our grief, to acknowledge our empathy, to acknowledge our wounds, to often also acknowledge the way we have hurt others too, not just our own pain, because
Yes.
there's that relationship goes both ways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Pam, what messages are we getting that's going to help us? Because this is big stuff. This is about personal inner development as well as outer development. So what do we have lining up for us to help us?
Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups. That's wish fulfillment. That is progressing forward. And I think for a lot of people, this has felt, the last couple of years have been very tough for a lot of people, energetically and otherwise. And for me, I always kind of felt like 2023 we were all going to get to take a breath of fresh air. And that's what this Nine of Cups feels like to me. Like the things, like progress again is made because we have a 9. So the 9 moves forward, it is evolving, and it's more towards your wish fulfillment, which again, if we go back to the other cards I pulled, we pulled the Lover's card. That's your connections and relationships, all of them. And we also pulled the Empress, which is, nurturing that baby and growing and prospering. So wish fulfillment is a good card for this. So let's see what
you
else.
have no idea. I was thinking in my head, I forgot to mention, and you said that, and I was like, sorry, I'll let you finish, and I'm going to tell you a story.
Perfect. And then we do have the 5 of Cups as well. So the 5 of Cups, now this is a pretty happy looking 5 of Cups. And it can, again, 5s can be change in how you feel, because this is a change in how you feel. It can be, and this very much feels like a change in things that were bothering you, connections, situations, like there's a change coming for the better. Because again, this is a happy looking 5 of Cups. 5 of Cups isn't always a happy looking card, but this one is, and I agree with that. So I like that wish fulfillment and forward moving. And again, It's all cups. We're getting a lot of cups and a lot of feeler cards. So everybody stay in your beautiful heart space. Stay here.
Yeah.
Because whenever we're activated, triggered, we will torture ourselves more up here.
Yes.
Than any reality usually. So stay heart-centered it seems like a big component of the cards I'm pulling is stay heart-centered.
Yeah, I agree. And when Nicole was saying about this is going to be a time of reaping the benefits, well, the 7 of Pentacles popped right into my head. So It's that earthiness, that grounding, and just taking time. You put in the efforts, and this is going to happen. They are going to bloom forward, and I love that because 2023 resonates at the energies of a 7.
Yes, it does.
So it's very much about yay. All this work we've been doing, or any time that we've even that time we have to be sitting back, we might have been going through burnout or deep sorrow and grief, right? So it's taking that time out is important. And now that we can move forward into this new year and this new energy of seeing the fruit of taking that time for ourselves, or taking the time into our families or into our projects or into our work, and seeing it blossom.
And that's,
go ahead.
I was about to say, and that's exactly what Saturn in Pisces is about, to rest, to begin again. And one thing people need to be mindful of when it comes to astrology is that when an aspect happens, which means two planets having that conversation with each other, is that it doesn't just begin and end in that moment with that. It's a continually evolving story. And going back to what you said, Pam, about wish fulfillment, is that last year in May, Jupiter and Neptune aligned perfectly together in the cosmos in Pisces, and that is dreaming big.
Mm-hmm.
So now Saturn is in Pisces to materialize that. What were those big dreams that you had? What were those divine inspirational ideas that you've had? Now it's time to put pen to paper, rest, retreat, focus, be in touch with the divine within.
Yes.
And materialize.
And I totally felt when you were talking about the 7 of Pentacles, Spirit's whispering in my ear. A lot of us that have, like you think you're not getting anywhere. You think, I've been doing this. I've been planting all these seeds. The 7 of Pentacles planting seeds. I've been planting all these seeds, but I'm not seeing the growth I thought. But It's because it needed to rest, because there is a time like right now, well, not right now, but like in the fall, you have to plant your bulbs in the fall, because the bulbs require a period of freezing. They require the winter freezing to bloom next spring. So that very much feels like what the Seven of Pentacles that Amber was thinking about is going to do. The seeds we've been planting, the things we've been working on are going to bloom or start blooming this next year, which I am really excited about.
Well, and how good that feels, for me, even because I know I'm not the only one. This fall season, whew, so much going on. At the same time, it felt kind of like muddiness, this murkiness, but there was still so much going on and still having to navigate and trudge through that, So I am very much looking forward to that freshness and these new dynamic energies that will be presenting themselves.
Same.
Yep. And the thing is, too, is that the eclipses are going to offer some assistance to that, too, because now as Saturn moves into Pisces, the South Node is in Scorpio. So now they're going to be in harmonious conversation with each other. So they're going to assist that. And, it's going to ask us to be, responsible to one another. Putting in that hard work. And Neptune's art, it's music, it's poetry, it's, everything that's, divinely inspired. It's the most psychic planet, the psychic sign of the zodiac. And, Scorpio, as, it asks you to go deep, right? And, purge whatever, and it asks you to surrender like that. The surrendering is such a strong theme as Saturn moves into Pisces, because Pisces itself is the act of surrendering. The South Node, the removal to let go, is there too. So when you have that fated aspect in conversation with a planet that materializes things within Pisces, we're going to truly understand what it means, the power of surrender. And that is where true strength resides.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely. And surrendering doesn't mean giving up, folks.
No, it doesn't.
Not at all. Part of I'm surrendering myself to the situation, so I can learn the most I can from it and move forward. And I accept, right? I accept the gifts of this surrender, and I accept the lessons of this surrender. It's a very positive thing. It can
absolutely.
be, I can see in some situations it's a very brave thing to do, but it is such a powerful and empowering action that we can take.
It is. I'm really excited about the cards I just drew. So go ahead, and then I will show you what.
Yeah, I'll just mention one thing to add to that is that if anybody's who's done a lot of reading on the power of manifestation, the last step to be able to materialize that when it comes to visualization is to surrender the idea, and then if we hold on to things too much, it doesn't materialize. When we actually surrender the thought, surrender the idea, surrender the goal, that's when the powerful manifestation truly happens.
Yep. I love it, because while you were talking about whatever you were talking about, Amber, I just forgot. I love my Pisces brain. Anyways, blocks. This is what I pulled, was the Eight of Wands, which I view the Eight of Wands as an energetic block. It's a stop, and it can be really frustrating. But then also the Eight of Wands, because wands are your drive and your will, your ambition, your passions. But also it can be read as fast moving forward. So it can switch like that, because y'all, you have planted the seeds. Seven Pentacles came up, Amber. You have planted the seeds. You have done the work. And then the outcome for that is gorgeous. One of my favorite cards is the moon. And I read the moon as an unplanned path. It's a surprise. Now, how many times, you don't have to know. The moon as an unplanned path for me is sometimes you get lost on a trail ride or on a drive, and you find a cute little restaurant or a private beach, and it was the best experience, but you didn't plan it. You had to surrender. That was the word, surrender. You have to surrender to the energetic blocks, because they will shift forward because you've done the work, and it takes you on an unplanned path that you would not have otherwise gone to, because the unplanned path is you would not have otherwise gone there. So, and it is a beautiful blessing, and it feels really positive. Now, there is fears, of course, with the moon card, fears, the subconscious. but they're going to come up. They're going to come up on this unplanned path. And I think there'll be a lot of resolution. So I love that for surrender, my friends.
And I love how the Eight of Wands came up, because we're back to that 8 again.
Eight again.
The 8, it's that ellipsis, right? And that's that infinity symbol. And oh, hey, whose logo is that on? No. But the other thing that with the 8 of Wands, and I agree with everything you said about it, something with the 8 of Wands is that there's an alignment that happens. It's everything falling into place. All those thoughts, all those actions are falling into place. And it's how we choose to, yes, we have to be careful, because that's a lot of fire flying over our heads.
It is.
And there could be a lot of things going on, but everything's falling into alignment. And we need to flow with that. We need to remain in balance as that movement is happening.
Right.
So yeah, I am always excited about how all of these aspects of what we do as metaphysicians, as occultists, as diviners, as intuitives, how everything overlaps. And I think it all goes back to what we're saying about the energies that you were talking about, Nicole, is that everything's connected. We are all one.
Yes.
You know, and so when things like this happen, you can't deny it. We don't make this up.
Yeah.
You know?
No. And the thing is, like, for those people that, don't realize that, like, it's kind of like going to be a very hard reality check, because all this energy is helping us to prepare, for some massive shifts that are happening energetically. And especially, I love how everything is just perfectly aligned in its own chaotic ways too, and what seems chaotic, right, to us here. And then, so with Saturn moving through Pisces, it'll prepare us, because it moves March 8th, for Pluto moving into Aquarius. And which we'll, talk in our next in our next show and stuff like that. But and also, as Saturn moves through Pisces, and then it'll catch up with Neptune, but not in Pisces at 0 degrees Aries. So these are, like, we're talking about some serious cosmic energies that we've signed up for to be on here to help co-create a new world, a better world for us all, because these alignments haven't happened for centuries.
Yeah.
And they're happening together within a decade. Like, it's mind blowing. I got goosebumps.
I got goosebumps too.
Like, a lot of massive shifts, a lot of massive stuff happening, that all within a decade. It's crazy.
What a decade it's going to be. Whew.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be a very different world by the end of the decade. There's no question.
Yeah. Exciting to be able to be bearing witness to it.
Exactly.
And holding space for it.
And you know what? I love the way you said holding space, because some people, they get, you get a lot of fear factor going on. And what we can't forget is that, like, for example, the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. There's a period where it's in complete darkness and vulnerable, and it has to surrender to the change that comes ahead, and it's this goo in the process, this dark stuff, but at the end it's got these beautiful wings, and the transformation was completely worth the journey.
Yeah.
And that's what we're called to do over this. Sorry,
I was saying, and the transformation,
yeah.
you cannot help a butterfly come out of its cocoon.
No,
You have, if you do, it will die. It has to struggle. It has to struggle and fight its way out in order to be strong. So yeah, I think we're all have felt that a time or two recently. So
absolutely.
Yeah. I love that analogy of the butterfly.
And you know what it reminds me also of a book that I've read years ago when I was like 23 years old. Jana Van Zandt, In the Meantime.
In the Meantime. I have not read that one. I will remember to read.
You will
It was the book that catalyzed.
There, throw that in the chat so that everyone remembers to read that book.
Well, see, what happened was, there's a little story to that. What happened was that obviously the child, trauma-ridden childhood, and what my biggest fear realized, my partner had left me, And here I was with, being a single mother, and it's not something I wanted to give to my child. So I said, I need to change, and I'm not going to engage in a relationship to change. If fate would have it, sure enough, I get faced with this book. And that was the catalyst that brought so much change in my life to propel me forward. Yeah. And that's what it's about. It's about, going through the attic, going through the basement, clearing up, looking into the junk. It puts that analogy in there. And that's what collectively we're asked to do, is let's clear the junk out and tidy up and get things in order.
That sounds fabulous. I would say I love a good purge. I love to clean out a closet or a drawer, or I just love it. That fresh.
The freshness you feel after, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little revitalized, and it just, it feels good. It feels real good.
It does.
All right. We just have a few more moments left. So,
already?
Oh, wait. Go ahead, Nicole. Go. Do you have something you want to add in?
Oh, I was just shocked. I'm like, already?
I know. I'm fast. I'm going to have, I would very much appreciate Pamela giving us, a kind of a twofold message.
Yes.
Winding up the calendar year of 2023 and of 2022 and moving into 2023. So I think that'll be a beautiful end to our conversation.
This is so awesome, you guys.
I love it when she gets excited.
Okay, wrapping up 2022, the 10 of Cups. So that's completion. That's ending chapters. The 10s are wholeness and completion. Just wrapping up chapters, ending. Love that. And then 2023 cracked me up. It's another 10, but it's the 10 of Swords. That's cutting out the bullshit. 10 of Swords is an end to the stress, anxiety, pressures, all the icky stuff that you needed to cut out from the previous seasons comes in for 2023, which I think we've all been talking about as well.
Absolutely. Right. Because those 10s, it's the completion of a cycle. It's the pinnacle, it's the completion, and it's the starting over. They're amazing.
And then it breaks down to the 1.
Yes.
The 10 breaks down to the 1 again, which we did pull the Ace of Swords, remember? That new start, that fresh communication, new truth, new path, new stuff. So I love this for both this year and the coming next year, because we get to start fresh.
And 10 is the 10th, and is Capricorn is the 10th sign.
That's right. That's right. That's fabulous.
How perfect. How synergistic.
I know.
Thank you, ladies, so much. I am very much looking forward to doing this again for 2023. And just so that people know, is that we're going to be switching the lives. They'll be on YouTube instead of Facebook for 2023. We'll have a little bit more flexibility in doing them. And we're really excited to do it that way. Those will be on the Cartomancer magazine YouTube channel. And I'm excited, and thank you so much. I am deeply grateful for both of you, professionally as my colleagues and personally as my friends. Thank you so much for being part of my life and everything that I do.
Back at you.
Yes, back at you. Thank you.
And have a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll chat soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.